One of our jobs as ecologists is to describe the buildings that we're surveying. So here I'm going to give you a short overview of some of the main building features when you're describing your buildings.
She's waiting for love to be realized. I'll send her my heart covered as a gift, and hope that you'll take it into her side. La 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 la.
Can I suggest that you go out and have a break from this and just go and have a look at some of your local buildings and see if you can revise some of these terms. We're going to be assessing this building here. It's had a new roof within the last 2 years and it's made of stone. Surrounding, there's not really much habitat, it's all buildings. But down there is a bridge that goes over a river, so we need to look at the back of it as well. We can't get to the building at the back, it's all surrounded by other buildings, but there it is there, and you can see it's pretty well sealed. But also there's a large river here and there is some bat activity on here in the evenings, so it could be a bat roost. Let's go and have a look. From here everything looks well sealed. It's difficult to tell though because it's so high. If the window is well sealed at the top, then you're not likely to find any droppings down at the bottom here. But if there was some sort of gap up there, then definitely check it out for droppings on the windowsills. We're inside the loft area now. I've checked the other floors and they're well sealed and no bats could have got in there. This is lined with breathable roofing membrane, which is not good for bats. And there is a bit of a gap just in here that goes into the roof void of the next door building, but you can't actually get into there. So we've got a potential extra bat space up there. So I'm just going to have a look on the floor and see if we can see any signs of bats. And also looking on the top of any stored materials, because bats are flying around. They will put their droppings on the top of things, so they're not going to have the droppings hidden underneath like with a mouse. That's a cluster fly, so there's quite a lot of those around here. Let's have a look on some of these stored materials. Cluster fly, Ah, now this looks like a bat dropping. Can you see it? I'm just going to pick it up and do a crumble test. Oh yes, that's definitely crumbling. So that's a bat dropping, and that was quite a large one, probably brown long-eared. We've got a load of dead cluster flies and things around here, but again we have another dropping here. Let's have a look at that one. Let's put it down, show you. So let's do the crumble test on that one. Yes, it's crumbling. So we definitely have bats in this loft. We need to work out whether they just come in here at night, because it's rather light. It has windows at both ends, letting in a lot of light. So I think probably it's used at night time. Maybe the adjacent roof is actually where the bat roost is, which I can't get access to, and they just come in here to fly around at night. We're definitely going to have to recommend further survey, so come back and do an emergence survey. There are some places where bats could be roosting. For example, up here where the wall and the roof meet, there's a gap there. So that's a place where they could be roosting. And then right up to the ridge beam, and you've got some gaps there on the ridge beam as well. So you've got plenty of scope for bat roosting, really. There's also a number of holes and crevices in the stonework on this older part of the wall where individual bats could be, and some of these holes are actually quite deep. There's no bat in there at the moment, but there could be a bat at any time really, if it feels safe in there. So remember to look on top of stored materials. Oh, there's another bat dropping there. This roof was actually only replaced about 2 years ago, so it's quite new. It's just been left for a couple of years. We've got a chimney breast here. Sometimes they can be really good for bats, and it's definitely worth looking at the bottom here to see if there's any bat droppings that have fallen down from above, because if they're roosting up inside the chimney, then you'll have bat droppings at the bottom. So there's definitely potential there, but I can't see any bat droppings in there. I thought that was a dropping, but it's another cluster fly. Sometimes loft spaces get completely inundated with fly infestations. They're overwintering usually, and then at some point they all die, and then you get all these dead flies lying everywhere. So I've now done the internal survey of this loft area of the building, and I found various places where there's mortar missing. I found the old chimney hole. I can't see any other access points, so I'm not really sure where they're coming in, apart from maybe where it joins onto another roof, and we aren't assessing that roof at the moment, so I'm not sure where the bats are coming through there. But this roof was replaced 2 years ago, and so bats have obviously been in here since then. It's a bit worrying that there's breathable membranes though, so when they do the building works, which is to seal this building off, I would say they need to make sure that it's you know, that the breathable membrane is not accessible to the bats. So I'm going to recommend some emergent surveys just to see if any bats are actually using it during the summer. It might be just that a bat managed to get in at some point, and I've only found 2 droppings, which is not very many at all really. So yeah, further surveys definitely. This barn is in Devon and it's in the Exe Valley. You can see some woodland beyond there and it looks perfect for bats. So should we go and have a look? So the first thing I do when I come into a barn like this is look along the ridge beam to see if there's any long-eared bats, and then I'll have a look on all the battens to see if there's any horseshoe bats hanging off them. My first impression of this barn is actually that it's a little bit too light. It's got a huge window at the one end, it's got this open door as well, so it's not ideal, but there's lots of structures up there where you can see with my torch. You can see some complex structures up there where there could be bats hanging out. It would definitely be worth coming back in the evening to see if anything comes out. So this barn is made of, that's wood there, that's cob, and this is cob with lime plaster on it. You've got a lovely old door there. Let's see if we can find some bat droppings. As you can see, there's lots of hazards, so do be careful if you come into something like this. You can get bats behind stored material like these pieces of wood, anything that's kind of making a cavity really. So I'm just looking on all the stored materials to see if I can see any bat droppings. You definitely need a decent torch for this. There is something that looks like a bat dropping here. Let's pick it up. Let's have a closer look at it. Let's pick it up and do a crumble test. Yes, that's crumbled. There's something like a bat dropping just here. Let's see if that is a dropping or not. Can you see that? Let's do the crumble test. Yeah, that's crumbled into crumbs, so that's a bat dropping. So I've just surveyed this barn and it was so full of junk I couldn't really see very much at all. I did find some bat droppings, but I couldn't really access the whole building because of the junk everywhere, and so I'm going to advocate further surveys and come back in the summer and do some emergent surveys. I couldn't put my ladder up because there was nowhere to put my ladder up to look at the wall tops, for example. So yeah, it wasn't great. Thank you for joining me on this bat surveying course where we've learnt how to survey buildings. The best way to get some experience yourself is to go and join your local bat group or get in touch with your local bat consultants and see if you can go out with them. Enjoy your surveying. Thanks for joining me.